What is up, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are in beautiful Yosemite, California. And we are once again in the Revel, performed flawlessly. And today I'm going to take you guys through a quick walkthrough of the van itself and show you guys what upgrades we've done to it, like I said in my previous video, and how it's performing, and take you guys through a walkthrough of how to use all the systems of the 21 Revel. A lot of people are unsure of that. So the van is fully self-contained, as you guys can kind of hear. I'm hoping the camera can pick up the audio. The little diesel heater that's keeping the cabin warm. At night, it got to about 30 degrees last night. We were hoping to catch the first snowfall of the season. Didn't happen yet. It's still projected on the forecast, so hopefully we get some snow. But yeah, I'll take you guys through a quick walk. Up front, we've got these beautiful LP9 headlights. They worked flawlessly with my regular headlights, although they were super bright and lit up the trail really well. Every time I turned them off to see, where I was going, it made it look like I didn't have headlights at all, so it's very bright. So just be careful about that. As you guys can see, we've got the winch down below. Hopefully don't ever need to use it, but just for safety, it's there just to keep us safe. And then we've got some shackles here, for getting out of some nasty places. Up top, I've got some LP4 lights. These were also amazing last night. I was using them in tandem with my LP9s in some of those darker areas so that I could see what was going on and to make sure that I didn't hit any deer. We had a couple deer jump out, and as you guys know from very rural areas, you can't avoid a deer when jumping at you, but with the lights I was able to see it before it even jumped into the road, which was awesome. As you guys can see, I've got my windshield wipers up. I was worrying about snow, so I was just trying to avoid having my windshield wipers freeze to the windshield, which would make it non-op, and we definitely don't want that, especially with freezing temperatures that we're getting up here. Over to the side, just added those little rubber mats from Harbor Freight, give a little cushion and a little bit more grip on the steps. Since the steps are, flush, this gives it a little bit rise, which is really nice, so it made it much easier to get in and out of the vehicle. Over here, we have my new connector for my air system. The van currently has onboard air. It has a tank and a compressor, so I can use my power tools. I can blow out dust and dirt from the van really quickly. So last night, as I said, it got really rainy, and a bunch of our shoes got wet, and after I rinsed it off with the exterior shower, I just blow dried it really quickly so that they were dry by the time they got in the van, and so that way they weren't all dirty. So as we keep going, as you guys can see, there is no more exhaust pipe. We finally removed the pipe and relocated it to the OEM position, which is I don't know if you guys can see it back there. So it's underneath the back of the van again. Prevents the clearance issue and makes it so that the van breathes a little bit better and without any extra rattles, because that pipe is right here by the door. As you guys can remember, it's that little black pipe that was there. It is no longer there. So a lot better. I wish Winnebago just left it. I understand that there will probably be some concerns about carbon monoxide and everything like that, but if you think about it, normal passenger cars, the exhaust pipe is back near the rear as well. Some of them are actually underneath the car, like at the brand new GMCs and the Chevy Suburbans. The pipes are underneath the van as well, so I'm not sure why Winnebago opted to remove it. It could be because it's a sleeping area, but other vehicles do have it up and under the van. So definitely good having it back in its OE position. OE means original equipment. As you guys can also tell, new suspension. I am currently running the Van Compass Falcon shocks and springs. Oh my god, these things are amazing. I currently have them dialed in at 2, so they perform a lot better, and they make it so that the van is a much more usable ride. Highly would recommend this from day one. The original van suspension is very mushy, very squishy. So with the new suspension, it is very dialed in, and I can also dial it in as I want. So if I wanted to, I could put it on setting 1. I'll throw this out here so you guys can see it. A little squeaky, but yeah, you turn it outwards. If I wanted to, I can set it to 1, which is very, very mushy, easily comparable to like a Cadillac. Set it to 2. I usually use that for normal driving, around the city, around the streets. It's a little firmer, but I don't get the sway of the van. And if I set it to 3, it's like a Porsche. It's very, very rough, which, I don't mind, especially on mountain trails. Like, going through Yosemite, I would leave it on 3, or I did leave it on 3. But leaving it on 2 is my daily setting. It's a dual shock system, so I have the additional shock and then I have the original shock right here. So both work in tandem to help prevent the van from swaying and keep the suspension more, controlled. We also added another leaf spring in the back, so it increased it. I don't know if the camera can pick it up, but you guys can kind of see the extra leaf spring that basically raised the van back to its original height. As you know, the van is very heavy. It's about 10,000 pounds. So with that back on, it lifts the suspension back up, making it a level ride, which is, amazing. So we're finally getting snow out here, and it's amazing. Back, we've got a new step in the back. I would highly recommend this too. It's very hard jumping in and out of the van, but with that, it makes it definitely easier to jump in and get in and out of the van very easily. Go down below. I'm not sure if you guys can see it, but down there is my air tank system. And if you look, I finally have armor on my differential and on my engine and my transmission. I added those in because I do take my van off-road and I do take it camping very often. I want to have the safety and security of knowing that I can go through these locations, these BLM lands, and not worry about having my van get wrecked and getting stranded. I know that's the number one thing, is that because this is a huge vehicle and it's a very expensive vehicle, I want to make sure that I'm safe and I'm keeping the van safe at the same time, because I personally don't want to have to replace anything on the van. I want to try and keep it as pristine and nice, shiny, and new as I can.
It's snow. Lots of snow.
Another thing I want to walk through with the van is how to fill up your gray water, dump your gray water and fill your freshwater tank. So the van has a 21-gallon freshwater tank and I think a 21 gray water tank. So how you do it is basically you take your gray water hose. I have mine just over here in this little container right here. Take it out and basically take it over here, connect it to this outlet here, plug it in, pull the tab, and the water will drain into this hole, which has a nice little, opening right there, and it'll drain out the water in there. Now, to fill up your fresh water is with this little contraption. Super simple. I like to have a RV water filter, just so that it purifies the water as it's going through. That way, you don't get any bad bacteria or metals in the water. Just so that when you're brushing your teeth or taking a shower, it's clean for you. Super simple, super nice and easy to do. All you do is you basically take it and you screw it onto the hose. This is the water filter. This is a pressure regulator. The vans have a very special system. Well, actually all RVs do, where if you have too much water going through, it'll actually break the systems inside the van. So this little beauty regularizes the pressure so that not too much water is flowing through and doesn't damage the van system. So basically just a normal hose, take it, and for the 21 van years or van edition, basically what you do is plug it in this little beautiful panel right here, right in there, and you change the settings. So right now we are power fill to tank. so city inlet to tank. Basically what that means is I am filling up my tank, so I change the dials accordingly so that it will fill up. If I was dry camping, which means I am pulling from the interior system tank, I would just change it to dry camping, which means basically turning the tab up to green, and then blue is up to the left. Super simple, super easy, and it makes it so that I'm pulling from the interior tank. However, if I was at an RV park, not only would I have the hose in, but I would be doing city water, which basically means to the left, red up, blue left. And that means I'm pulling from exterior water via the hose. It's not pulling from the interior tank. But because we are dry camping right now, I'm going to put it back to dry camping. Super simple, super easy, and straightforward. So I already filled up. So we're just going to take apart the hose so that you guys can see what it's like. So first thing I'm going to do, make sure water's off, and I want to undo the hose just like that. It's going to spill a little bit because it's got water inside the system still. So I'll just undo that. As we can see, now I would undo this little fixture right here. Now water does tend to stay in the filter because it's a filtration device. You know, it has sediments and stuff in there. You guys can hopefully hear it on camera, but I like to drain it out. Oh, you also should date when you first use it. So I dated mine for the 5th because that's when I started using it, and it pretty much has the directions of how to use it. See that little arrow? I'm not sure if I can pick it up on camera, but that arrow is the direction of which the water flows. When water's flowing, you want to have it in that directions because that's the direction of which the filter is going to flow. So you want to make sure it's in the right way, so that way water's passing through it, so that it cleans out the system, because you want clean water, you don't want dirty water. That's pretty much just unplug the piece. I like to take it into my van and put it into its storage container, which it's a little messy right now. But, yeah, we've been camping out for at least I think 3 days now, so pretty cool little trip. So got my little table right there. Girlfriend is out and about having fun. Just go right underneath the bed and put it in a storage container. And while I have you guys on video right now, let's talk about how to use the water heater and all of that. So because it was 30 degrees last night, it was really freaking cold. So what I do is I turn on the diesel heater. That's basically how you do it. Is you use the dial, turn it all the way up to 90 degrees, and that starts the diesel heater. It'll start pumping out hot air through little vents. There's one vent right here, so you guys can see, and it pulls from the diesel heater. Super simple to use, very intuitive. It's touchscreen, but because we are driving right now, I don't need that. To use hot water, what you do, hit that little hot water spigot. This is for the diesel hot water. This is for electric hot water. You guys can hear the little whining powering up. Basically what that does is the van has 2 modes of heating the water, electric and diesel. The electric doesn't really work too well. It works, but it's not super hot water like you want. I would say it's mainly for like washing dishes very quickly. Sorry, out of breath. It's very cold up here, and the altitude is killing me. So pardon if I'm out of breath. I like to use both. The van will basically pick and choose which is better for the system, so having both works out in its favor. So I use both, and that gives me hot water. It only lasts for about 30 minutes because that's how the timer works. Super easy to use, super simple to use as well. So using all 3 of those is the way to do it, and then using the little touch dial for the diesel heater, and then you can just touch them to turn them off. Once they turn white, that means they're off. So super simple, super easy to use. I'll just keep vlogging throughout the day so that you guys can follow through and see whatever things I do today, and I'll talk about how the van works and everything like that. So make sure you guys stay tuned and follow for more. It is now probably around 8 o'clock here. We are in the park, and right behind me, like usual, is the Revel. I'm gonna start calling it probably the beast mode Revel because is looking pretty beastly as it's coming along. So the van performed flawlessly for the night. We drove in the dark for about an hour, and you know, I had to drive with the extra lights on. We had no service in certain locations, so having the lights gave me that extra comfort of, you know, where things are going to be in case wildlife or deer or anything like that jumps out at the van. You know, we are able to see it before I hit it. I don't want to hit anything, you know. I want to make sure that everything, you know, stays safe and that we stay safe, you know, my girlfriend and I. So like usual, the van performed flawlessly, like I said multiple times probably already. You can barely see it, but here is the silhouette of the van, and I'll show you guys where I have my lights hooked up. So inside the engine, the lights are hooked up to the OEM buttons on the left side of the van. So I'm not sure if you guys can see it, just 1 and 2. Those buttons, you know, they're dialed right in so that people can see, you know, what's there, what's not there, and that way people can use the lights. I personally like having the buttons there, you know, right is for upper and left is for bottom, you know, that way I can see, you know, what's in front of me, rather than having it over here by the 4x4 system, just in case I accidentally hit something. You know, I don't want to push the 4x4 and turn it on. Although where we were today, you know, with it being so cold, being so, you know, frosty, you know, we almost had to turn it on for couple spots, but you know, with the BF Goodrich KO2 tires that I currently have in the van, it performed flawlessly. So like usual, if you guys like the content that I'm pushing out, go ahead and hit that subscribe button down below and hit that like button, and I will make sure to push out as much content as I can as quickly as possible. If you guys have any questions, go ahead and keep putting them in the comments, and I'll make sure to answer them as quickly as possible. Thank you so much guys for watching, and keep your eye on the horizon.